Before I start, I would like to say to the parents and families that I'm very sorry for what has happened. I'm also sorry for any upset that my talk may cause. My name is Ivan Blumenthal. I am a retired pediatrician, and in 1978 I worked in the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital. I felt the need to make this video due to the ongoing controversy about the Lucy Letby case. Lucy Letby was a fun-loving, hard-working nurse. She has now been convicted of 7 murders and 7 attempted murders. She is destined to remain in jail for the rest of her life. She claims she's innocent and has been made a scapegoat for a failing neonatal unit. The events leading up to her conviction are currently the subject of the Thirlwell inquiry, which is due to report in the autumn of 2025. Lucy Letby was born on the 4th of January 1990. She was an only child to middle-class parents. Letby attended local schools in Hereford, where she had many friends, some of whom continue to support her. From a young age, she wanted to be a pediatric nurse. After leaving school, she enrolled at Chester University in September 2008 to study nursing. This profile in the Times was written shortly after her conviction. It provides more background information. This is the Countess of Chester Hospital. There were about 3,000 babies born there each year. About 400 neonates would be admitted to the neonatal unit. The neonatal unit was a level 2 unit, which means that it could take babies less than 32 weeks or 800 grams. When Letby left the unit in July 2016, it was downgraded to a level 1 unit. A level 1 unit does not take babies below 32 weeks. This diagram has been taken from the Telegraph. The neonatal unit was built in 1971 and was beset with many problems. The lighting was poor, there was sewage leaking into the sinks, and a chronic Pseudomonas infection of the taps. Equipment such as the blood gas machine was not always working. The unit was staffed by 38 nurses of mixed skills. Letby and one other were the only 2 with neonatal intensive care training. In the year between June 2015 and June 2016, there was an increase in the number of admissions and the babies were much sicker. Staff were working under a lot of pressure. In December 2015, one of the consultants, Dr. Alison Timmis, wrote to the chief executive and described the neonatal unit as chaos. The Care Quality Commission issued a report on the Countess of Chester Hospital in 2016. It is worth looking at the report because it provides information about the pediatric department and the neonatal unit. The Commission noted the shortage of nursing staff. They also said that there was a lack of storage space. The lack of space compromised privacy and barrier nursing. One of the inspections was on the day Dr. Jayaram witnessed Letby attempting to murder baby K. The Commission did not know about Letby until after the report was released. This slide shows the staffing crisis in neonatal units in England and Wales. Despite there being a shortage of nurses at the Countess of Chester Hospital, it was better than average. The green dots are level 2 units and the red dot is the Countess of Chester Hospital. On the left is Sir Duncan Nicol. He was the head of the NHS at the time of Beverly Allitt. another nurse who killed children. Sir Duncan said that he and the board were misled by the chief executive and the medical director. He also said that he did not go to the police earlier because of Dr. Jayaram. The reason was that Dr. Jayaram had said that the police would need hard evidence. Tony Chambers, the chief executive, was a former nurse. Ian Harvey, the medical director, was an orthopedic surgeon. Following the rise in neonatal deaths, these two gentlemen would become embroiled in a battle of wills between the pediatricians and the senior nurses. On the left is Dr. Stephen Breary, the neonatal lead. He noticed that Letby was always around when babies died. He had a hunch that Letby was harming babies and went to great lengths to have her removed from the neonatal unit. He met with great resistance from the nursing staff, who thought that Letby was a good nurse. Also, they had never seen Letby harming a baby. Breary was the first to come up with the air embolism theory. He was central to obtaining the evidence that Letby poisoned babies with insulin. He told the Thirlwell inquiry that Letby had probably harmed babies before 2015. On the right is Dr. Ravi Jayaram, the pediatric lead. He has appeared on British television. Letby was convicted of attempted murder of child K solely on his evidence. He was the first to find the paper by Lee and Tanswell on gas embolism. This paper was to play a prominent part during the trial. This chart shows the rise in the number of deaths in 2015 and 2016. During this time, there were 17 deaths. From the evidence given to the Thirlwell inquiry, it seems that Letby was on a shift or an adjoining shift in 13 of the 17 deaths. Letby was charged with the murder of 7 babies. To get on the charge sheet, the death had to be unexpected and unexplained. In this document, prepared for the Thirlwell inquiry, the reasons for all 17 of the deaths are given. Of the 10 deaths not on the indictment for murder, 4 were due to congenital abnormalities, 3 sepsis, 1 hypoxic brain damage, and 1 multiple organ failure. Child K was originally on the indictment for murder, but this was later changed to attempted murder. Interestingly, under item 3, 2 deaths remain the subject of ongoing police investigation. This chart shows that the spike in death rate was not unexpected. If you look at similar trusts in the preceding year, the rate was as high and higher. This means that you did not need Letby to cause a spike in death rates. When babies started dying, the pediatricians noticed that Letby was always around. They became convinced that she was harming babies. Having explored every avenue to try to ascertain how she was doing it, they decided that she needed to be removed from the unit. On the other hand, the nurses had never seen her harming a baby and thought that she was a very good nurse. They were determined to keep her on the unit. After the death of child P, Letby was moved to clerical duties in the Risk and Patient Safety Department. The neonatal unit was also downgraded to level 1. The medical director and head of nursing, Alison Kelly, were talking about police involvement. However, as a way of moving forward, it was decided to arrange for the Royal College to undertake a service review. The final version of the Royal College report was released in November 2016. There were two versions. Information about Letby was not included in the redacted version. The redacted version was disseminated in February 2017. The review noted the staff shortages and made a number of recommendations. They said that the unit should remain a level 1 unit until 2 more consultant pediatricians had been appointed. The college also recommended greater consultant presence on the neonatal unit and said that more babies should be referred out. They suggested a case notes review and gave the medical director a list of 4 names. After interviewing Letby and other staff, the college took the view that Letby's presence at the deaths was a coincidence and said that the evidence against Letby was based on gut feeling. They also said that the trust should continue to fully investigate Letby. The board was not told about the need to continue investigation, and that is why Sir Duncan says that he was misled. The trust did in fact continue to investigate Letby. One such investigation was undertaken by Anne Martin. In a review of collapses followed by outside referral, Letby was cleared. A case notes review was undertaken by Dr. Jane Horden, a neonatologist at the Royal Free Hospital, London. She was sent 17 cases and in 13 said that death or collapse may have been prevented with different care. She also said that 4 cases remained unexplained and should be sent for forensic review. These were cases A, I, O, and P. Dr. Joe McPartland and her 2 pediatric pathology colleagues at Alder Hey Hospital reviewed the postmortems of these children. They did not feel that there was any need to change their original reports. On this slide, you will see excerpts of an email sent by Dr. John Gibbs, a pediatric consultant who had just met with Dr. Harvey. He sent the email to Dr. Jayaram on the 24th of February 2017. Dr. Gibbs was unsure whether Letby had done anything wrong and did not seem to be keen on a police investigation. These excerpts also give an insight into why Dr. Breary was so keen on a police investigation. The full email can be read in the second statement of Jane Tompkinson to the Thirlwall Inquiry. By the time the Royal College visited, Letby had been doing clerical work for 10 weeks. She was expecting to get back to the neonatal unit soon after the visit. When she heard that there was going to be a period of further investigation, she became very distressed. With the assistance of Hayley Cooper, a Royal College of Nursing representative, she filed for a grievance procedure. On the 14th of October, Dr. Chris Green, Director of Pharmacy, started a series of interviews. When Dr. Jayaram went for his interview, he was accompanied by the BMA representative who advised him not to speculate. He did not tell Dr. Green that he had witnessed the attempted murder of child K because he did not think he needed to. Letby won her grievance. On the 22nd of December, Mr. Chambers and Dr. Harvey met with Letby and her parents. They were told that Letby would go back to the neonatal unit when she was ready. At a meeting between the executives and the consultants on the 26th of January 2017, the consultants were told that they would need to write letters of apology to Letby, following which there would be a mediation process before she returned to the neonatal unit. All 7 consultants and an obstetrician who had called her a murderer in public, wrote letters apologizing for their behavior. This is a letter dated the 1st of March in which Dr. Harvey thanks Dr. Jayaram for writing his letter of apology and advises him to engage with mediation. In the letter, he refers to other parties, meaning Letby's parents. Dr. Jayaram met with Letby and became infuriated when Letby told him she was returning to the neonatal unit and he was not going to stop her. By this time, Letby had already written to staff on the unit saying that she had been exonerated and she would be returning. Dr. Breary met the facilitator but refused to meet Letby because he claimed that the deaths had not been fully investigated. The day after Letby had infuriated Dr. Jayaram, he had a pre-arranged meeting with Sue Hodkinson, the Director of Human Resources. The purpose of that meeting was to discuss mediation. At that meeting, he told Sue Hodkinson that he had witnessed Letby harming child K and 2 other babies. Precisely what he said to her has not been carefully documented. However, on receiving this new information, Sue Hodkinson has said that she was stunned. This startling information was to be conveyed to the executive team the next morning. This is an excerpt from the minutes of the Sue Hodkinson meeting with Dr. Jayaram. It seems that he told her that he had no personal reason for making this revelation. This begs the question why he first made the revelation after so many months, and particularly after Letby had incensed him. On the right is the email Letby sent to the nursing staff on the neonatal unit on the 31st of January 2017. After hearing from Sue Hodkinson on the 16th of March, it was decided that Letby could not return to the neonatal unit. Letby has now been convicted of the attempted murder of child K on Dr. Jayaram's evidence. Why he waited so long to make the revelation is a mystery. The fact that this was not documented and the numerous subsequent inconsistencies raises serious doubts about its veracity. The incident happened when the CQC was at the hospital. He did not inform the CQC, nor did he tell his colleague, Dr. Breary. Dr. Breary has said that if he had been told, he would have gone straight to the executives. At a meeting on the 27th of March 2017, Mr. Chambers agreed to police involvement. He then commissioned reports from Dr. Janet Rennie, a retired neonatologist who agreed that many of the deaths were unexplained. Simon Medland, KC, was brought in to advise the trust. He met with the consultants on the 12th of April 2017. He later told the board that he did not think there was any criminality, but if they remained concerned, they should arrange a meeting with the Child Death Overview Panel. This was arranged in late April 2017 when the chair, Hayley Frame, and Detective Superintendent Nigel Wenham met with Dr. Ian Harvey. After hearing from Dr. Harvey, both were very concerned, and Nigel Wenham said that he would need to escalate the matter to his senior officers. This is the letter that Mr. Chambers wrote to the Chief Constable on the 2nd of May 2017 requesting a forensic investigation. A meeting with the police was held on the 5th of May 2017. The meeting was led by Assistant Chief Constable Darren Martland. It emerged that neither the police nor the trust thought there had been any criminal activity. Darren Martland said he would be guided by the trust. If the trust called off the investigation, he would be happy to leave it at that. The trust would, however, need to put everything in writing so that there could be a paper trail of how decisions were made. Prior to the meeting, Dr. Jayaram had sent an email directly to the police saying that the pediatricians did not feel the investigation was complete as there were still unexplained deaths. Dr. Jayaram had bypassed the hospital executives, and the police felt that before the matter could proceed, a meeting with Dr. Jayaram needed to take place. Detective Superintendent Nigel Wenham agreed to meet with Dr. Jayaram as soon as possible. This meeting took place on the 15th of May 2017. Detective Inspector Paul Hughes accompanied Nigel Wenham. Dr. Jayaram said that the previous reviews had not asked the right questions. There was no explanation for the collapse and failure of resuscitation of some babies. He told the police about Letby and child case dislodged tube. He said that when Letby was on duty, they thought something would happen. He talked about air embolism and the very unusual rashes, which may indicate unnatural death. Dr. Breary spoke about Letby always being around when babies died. He told them that when 2 of the triplets died, other nurses went off with stress, but Letby wouldn't. In general, the consultants felt that they had not been listened to and felt intimidated. After the meeting, Mr. Wenham had a telephone conference with Cheshire Police and the Trust, in which he said that the police should proceed with the investigation. At the Thirlwall inquiry, Mr. Wenham has described the meeting as powerful and said that the consultants were very professional and knowledgeable. This slide shows an excerpt of Mr. Wenham's minutes of the meeting. You will see that the consultants told him about Letby's shift patterns and how they related to deaths. After Letby had been taken off the unit in July 2016, there had been no further deaths or unexplained collapses. The consultants did not think that this could be entirely explained by the downgrading of the unit to level 1. After the parents were told, the press were informed. These are some of the news headlines at the time. This is Dr. Dewey Evans. Dr. Dewey Evans is a retired pediatrician with a medico-legal practice. He saw the headlines in the newspapers and contacted the National Crime Agency. As a consequence of that contact, he was commissioned to review case notes from the babies selected by the hospital consultants. He would eventually become the chief prosecution medical witness at the trial. This is an excerpt from The Guardian, which explains a sequence of events that followed Dr. Evans's first email to the National Crime Agency. It is worth reading this carefully, as this would later feature in the trial. This is a photograph of Letby's arrest on the 18th of July 2018. Letby was again arrested in June 2019 and November 2020. The last 2 arrests were made at her parents' home in Hereford. After Letby was arrested, her house was searched and her garden was dug up. The police also searched her parents' home in Hereford. That was my last slide in part 1. I will continue in part 2 and part 3.